All right, so Charles Barkley reaffirming his commitment to TNT Sports, saying, quote, I'm going to give my all as we keep them, meaning the viewers, entertained for years to come. So that's our lead here. Media Musings, Charles Barkley saying through a corporate release that he is going to stay at Turner Sports. Let us discuss the question. Charles Barkley now walking back his retirement. Give me your reaction. So I have Epiphany, Bunny, and Darrell Waltrip. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to light up the left brain, which is the logic center. See, people accuse me of being a right brain person, right? The emotional center of the brain. But no, I'm a left brain person. That's where the logic is. So to begin here, the first thought I have is I'm going to spell something out for you. Y-A-W-N. You know what that spells? Yes. Yawn. Charles Barkley, this was the easiest story. You don't have to be a distant relative of Nostradamus and a friend of Nostradamus. This was an easy story to call. Charles Barkley is often illogical. He is an emotional creature. That is a blessing. That can be a curse. It makes for award-winning boob tube. However, it gets you into the soup because you're so emotional. You're verklempt. Right? He didn't have a cooling off period. This happened during the NBA Finals. Barkley gave an unfiltered answer in the raw after a sabbatical, couple of months away, and here we are in early August, in about 2 months or so. It's more likely than not that what really happened is the round mound of rebound had an epiphany after speaking with his bean counter, the accountant. They looked at the books and they said, well, listen, Charles, you like to gamble. That's kind of an expensive hobby, right? So everything kind of clicked into place. You're like, well, it's expensive, and if you're not getting money coming in and your investment portfolio, maybe it's not doing that great. Ergo, Charles Barkley, for now, will continue on that 10-year, $210 million contract as times are really tough there back in 2022. Although I did correspond with some friends who are better people than me because they work in television who did not dismiss the possibility of Barkley still leaving Turner, that right now he's saying he's going to stay, but there's a lot more money out there from Disney. I can't ever see Barkley working for the buttoned-up wokesters over at Disney, but Amazon also. I mean, there's other options. Now, secondly, now that Charles Barkley is sticking around, and there's still people, as I said, that are doubting that Barkley's actually going to stick around. But we're also hearing some chatter that TNT is considering a rebrand of what had been known as Inside the NBA, and they're going to get rid of the NBA part and just get rid of the part and just call it Inside Sports. So that'll be the name of the new show, and that would allow Charles Barkley, the vehicle, with his buddies to not only talk about basketball but everything else. So where are you at on those whispers? Where are you at on those whispers that TNT, keeping the band together, that Charles, Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie will be together under a rebranded television show? So we are loving it, right? Not McDonald's, but we're loving it. And don't stop the good times. We have long been advocates of this. How could you not be? I've never met anyone that has a pulse, that's someone I want to hang out with, that doesn't like Inside the NBA, right? And that show was never really about the NBA. It wasn't. It's kind of, and here's how I relate. Like people, I meet a lot of listeners who go to these events and stuff, and I've had conversations with listeners, and often when I'm talking to listeners, like this show, even though most of it is supposed to be about sports, the people that tell me why they listen, it's not because of the sports. So who goofed? But definitely, in my opinion as a consumer, right, my experience as a consumer, I don't even care about NBA regular season basketball. I care about the playoffs. But I find myself on Thursdays or Tuesdays, depending on what night they're on, Inside the NBA, I'm watching. And often I'm waiting for the game to end, and then turning it on. That was just a cover charge to get you in the door, the game, but it was always about the personalities, the fun, the gags, a variety show. That's what they did on a semi-weekly basis. And TNT, they can make this a year-round show. Now, Barkley's not going to work year-round. He'll likely only work during basketball season. But keep the vibe going. Keep the vibe going. Bring in the Energizer Bunny so they can be the program manager, right? Keep going and going and going and going and going. The show can keep going and going and going. And you mix and match Barkley and Ernie Johnson until he retires, and Kenny Smith and Shaq, and you bring in some random NFL people and MLB people, and college as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, even with TNT losing the NBA, Turner will still broadcast college basketball, college football. They'll have baseball, hockey, tennis. I mean, there's all kinds of crap. I can imagine Barkley breaking down tennis. Okay. Now, final thought. We're going to sidestep to a sport we just mentioned, Major League Baseball. Now, I'm not going to sit here and break down Game 2 between the Fightin' Phils for Fats in Philly and my Dodgers. No. This is about a couple of other teams that are both in the National League. We have learned that the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds are going to meet for one game only. They're going to get together at one of the most iconic motorsport venues in this country, or any other country for that matter, and it's going to happen next year. My old radio buddy, Evan Drellick, actually did some radio shows in Boston with Evan from The Athletic. He works there now. He tells us that the Braves and the Reds will face each other at NASCAR's notorious Bristol Motor Speedway in beautiful Bristol, Tennessee. That'll be next year. An official announcement likely coming down the pike on Friday. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the Braves and the Reds playing a game at Bristol Motor Speedway in 2025. So I'm going to go thumbs up. Now, I've never been to Bristol Motor Speedway. I did drive by Darlington when I was in South Carolina, and that blew me away. This massive NASCAR track in the middle of nowhere. From what I've been told, the situation in Bristol is even crazier in terms of, NASCAR and how big that is. In really just, there's not much around. It's out in the boondocks, right? And so I like this, and it continues the mantra of baseball. They want to change it up. And as Darrell Waltrip used to say, bucket it, boys. Let's go racing, right? Let's go play some ball. Another notch in the bedpost of Major League Baseball, this barnstorming initiative. And in recent years, they have had games at the Field of Dreams Stadium in Iowa. That's where Iowa Sam showed up, got hammered. The Rickwood Field in Birmingham, which they just did this past year. The timing was not particularly great, or maybe it was the same. I think it was like a day after Willie Mays passed away. And Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the site of the Little League World Series. I think they've got to continue this. You do NASCAR, and I said this years ago, they could do this with basketball. How about you get one of those giant Navy aircraft carriers and put a baseball stadium on that? Like put a baseball field on it, play a game. And a home run goes out in the Atlantic or the Pacific or wherever. How much fun would that be? And this continues. Major League Baseball, they've expanded the international schedule. They played games recently in London, Mexico City, Tokyo, Seoul, you name it.